Tensions rise high. World leaders seek solutions. Peace hangs in balance. Welcome to AI News Brew, your source for comprehensive global news analysis. In today's episode, we'll dive into the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, explore the G7 summit in Canada, and examine various domestic challenges facing nations around the world. Let's begin with the most pressing international news. The Middle East is once again at the center of global attention as Israel and Iran engage in their most serious military confrontation in decades. Israeli airstrikes have targeted Iranian nuclear facilities and military installations, while Iran has retaliated with missile attacks on Israeli cities. The conflict, which began on June 13th, has already claimed lives on both sides and raised fears of a wider regional war. According to recent reports, Israel claims to have achieved air superiority over Tehran, demonstrating its military prowess. However, Iran boasts of employing a new method in its attacks, suggesting an evolving and potentially more dangerous phase of the conflict. The international community watches with bated breath as the situation unfolds. In a dramatic escalation of the Israel-Iran conflict, U.S. President Donald Trump has moved beyond rhetoric to action. Last night, the United States launched strikes on 3 key Iranian nuclear facilities, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. This military intervention comes after days of Trump hinting at potential U.S. involvement and demanding Iran's unconditional surrender. The strikes mark a significant shift in U.S. Middle East policy, raising concerns about regional stability and global oil markets. Interestingly, this aggressive move contrasts sharply with Trump's recent claims about deserving a Nobel Peace Prize for his diplomatic efforts in other international conflicts. The president had been vocal about his role in brokering peace deals, including a recent treaty between Congo and Rwanda. However, his actions in Iran seem to prioritize military intervention over diplomacy, potentially complicating his Nobel aspirations and dividing both his MAGA base and the broader political landscape over the wisdom of U.S. involvement in yet another Middle Eastern conflict. The move, which came just days after Trump's early departure from the G7 summit in Canada, has sparked intense political debate both at home and abroad. The MAGA movement, typically united in its support for the president, now finds itself grappling with the complexities of interventionism versus the America First doctrine. While some Republican stalwarts like Senator Lindsey Graham have urged military action to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, others within the MAGA base, including Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and media personality Tucker Carlson, have voiced concerns about deeper U.S. involvement in the Middle East. This internal divide reflects broader questions about the future of U.S. foreign policy and its military role in the region. The international community has responded with a mix of support and criticism. Israel has backed the U.S. strikes, while Iran has vowed retaliation, declaring that the time for diplomacy is over. Global leaders, particularly those from the European Union, are calling for an immediate return to negotiations, highlighting the delicate balance between security concerns and diplomatic solutions. As the situation unfolds, analysts warn of potential Iranian retaliation, including the possible closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a move that could have far-reaching economic consequences. With oil prices already surging and the World Bank revising its 2025 growth forecast downward, the coming days will be crucial in determining the long-term impact of Trump's decision on both domestic politics and international relations. In Gaza, the humanitarian crisis continues to escalate as Palestinians face life-threatening risks in their daily quest for food. Recent reports indicate that despite Israel allowing food aid into the region, distribution systems remain chaotic and overwhelmed. The Gaza Health Ministry has reported hundreds of casualties in recent weeks during food distribution efforts. In a tragic incident on June 19th, dozens of Palestinians were reportedly killed near an aid distribution center, allegedly by Israeli tank fire. The United Nations has labeled some aid hubs as militarized distribution points, highlighting the dangerous conditions surrounding humanitarian efforts. This crisis is unfolding against a backdrop of heightened tensions, with Israel carrying out another wave of strikes on Iran just a day earlier. The situation in Gaza urgently calls for international attention to establish safe and effective food distribution methods as both UN and Israeli-backed private contractor efforts struggle with violence and theft. Turning our attention to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, recent developments have escalated tensions and highlighted the global implications of this protracted war. In a startling revelation, President Zelensky has warned that Russia plans to acquire 860 additional machine tools for weapons production. This move could significantly boost Russia's military capabilities, prompting Ukraine to urge immediate global action to prevent this escalation. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has made provocative claims, stating all of Ukraine is ours and hinting at possible expansion into the Sumy region. These statements come as Russia continues to occupy about a fifth of Ukrainian territory, including regions annexed since 2014. The conflict has also become a testing ground for advanced drone technology, with both sides rapidly innovating in unmanned aerial warfare. Just recently, Russia launched a massive drone attack, deploying 104 UAVs overnight, of which Ukrainian forces successfully neutralized 88. The human cost of this conflict remains devastating. A recent Russian missile and drone attack on Kiev resulted in 15 deaths and 156 injuries, prompting Ukraine to call for an emergency UN Security Council meeting. In response to these ongoing hostilities, the international community continues to show support for Ukraine, with Canada recently announcing $4.3 billion in new aid, including military assistance and additional sanctions against Russia. As the war enters its fourth year, it is clear that the conflict in Ukraine continues to shape global geopolitics, military technology, and international relations, with far-reaching consequences that extend well beyond Eastern Europe. Back in the US. In recent weeks, immigration and customs enforcement ICE operations have intensified across the United States, sparking widespread controversy and resistance. Los Angeles County has been a focal point, with raids in Pico Rivera and Pasadena leading to numerous detentions, including that of U.S. citizen Adrian Andrew Martinez. These actions have ignited protests and drawn criticism from local representatives Linda Sanchez and Judah Chu, who are demanding answers regarding the treatment of detainees. The visibility of these operations has increased dramatically, with San Diego residents witnessing public arrests at local businesses. This trend is prompting everyday citizens to engage in various forms of response and protest, highlighting the growing tension between federal immigration policies and community values. In a related development, ICE has implemented a new 72-hour notice requirement for congressional visits to its facilities, a move that has been met with strong opposition from Democratic lawmakers who argue it undermines legal oversight. This policy change comes amid several incidents where representatives were denied access to ICE facilities, further escalating the conflict between the agency and its critics. The impact of these operations is reverberating through various sectors of society. In the sports world, the Los Angeles Dodgers have pledged $1 million to aid families affected by the raids, following criticism over their initial silence on the issue. Meanwhile, in the realm of journalism, Spanish-language reporter Mario Guevara faces potential deportation after being arrested while covering an anti-immigration policy protest in Georgia, raising concerns about press freedom and the treatment of immigrant journalists. As these events unfold, they continue to fuel national debates on immigration enforcement, civil rights, and the role of local communities in federal law enforcement actions. The long-term implications of this heightened enforcement and the resulting resistance remain to be seen, but it's clear that immigration has become an increasingly visible and contentious issue in American daily life. In other U.S. news, Minnesota has been rocked by a tragic incident that has sent ripples through the political landscape. On June 14, former State House Speaker Melissa Hartman and her husband were fatally shot, while State Senator John Hoffman and his wife suffered serious injuries in a separate attack. The suspect, identified as Vance Bolter, led authorities on a two-day manhunt, the largest in Minnesota's history, before being apprehended on June 15 in Sibley County. The arrest came after Bolter's abandoned car was discovered in Faxon Township, providing crucial evidence for investigators. As the story unfolds, it's becoming clear that this wasn't a random act of violence. Authorities have uncovered a hit list of approximately 70 names in Bolter's possession, mostly comprising Democratic politicians, suggesting a politically motivated attack. The incident has sparked intense debates about the safety of public officials and the potential for political violence. Governor Tim Walz has described the shootings as a politically motivated assassination, raising alarm bells about the security measures in place for elected representatives. As federal prosecutors step in, Bolter now faces charges of second-degree murder, with the possibility of additional federal charges. The investigation is ongoing, with authorities working to uncover the full extent of Bolter's plans and motivations. This tragic event serves as a stark reminder of the volatile political climate we're navigating, and it's likely to prompt serious discussions about increased security for lawmakers across the nation. In economic news, the Federal Reserve has held interest rates steady at 4.25 to 4.5%, despite mounting pressure from former President Trump for immediate rate cuts. This decision comes as millions of Americans face significant drops in their credit scores due to the resumption of student loan collections. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, over 3.2 million borrowers have seen their credit scores plummet by 100 points or more in the first quarter of 2025. The Fed's stance reflects a delicate balance between managing inflation, which is projected to reach 3% by year-end, and supporting economic growth, now forecast at a modest 1.4% for 2025. While the central bank still anticipates 2-quarter-point rate cuts later this year, it's treading cautiously in a landscape marked by global tensions, including the escalating Israel-Iran conflict and the looming threat of tariff-driven inflation. This complex economic picture is making it increasingly challenging for many Americans to access affordable financial services, highlighting the interconnected nature of monetary policy, geopolitical events, and personal finance in today's economy. Let's turn our attention to Europe, where a significant cultural event is unfolding in the heart of Paris. The world-renowned Louvre Museum, home to masterpieces like the Mona Lisa, unexpectedly shut its doors on June 16 due to a staff strike. This isn't just about art, it's a story that touches on the global challenges of tourism and cultural preservation. The museum's employees have taken a stand against what they describe as overwhelming crowds and deteriorating working conditions. In their words, the institution is crumbling from within. Picture this: thousands of eager visitors, guidebooks in hand, left stranded outside those iconic glass pyramids with little information about what was happening inside. This closure isn't just a local inconvenience, it's shining a spotlight on a worldwide dilemma. How do we balance the desire to share our cultural treasures with as many people as possible, while also preserving these priceless artifacts and maintaining a quality experience for both visitors and staff? As of now, the Louvre hasn't released an official statement about when it might reopen or how it plans to address these concerns. It's a developing situation that we'll be keeping a close eye on, as it could set a precedent for how other major cultural institutions handle similar challenges in the future. In related news, tourists in Barcelona and Mallorca, Spain, found themselves on the receiving end of an unconventional protest last Sunday. Local demonstrators, armed with water guns, sprayed inspecting visitors as part of a coordinated effort to voice their opposition to mass tourism. But this wasn't just a Spanish affair. Similar scenes unfolded in Venice, Italy, and Lisbon, Portugal, marking the first synchronized protest of its kind across southern Europe. These attention-grabbing tactics highlight the growing tensions between residents and the booming tourism industry in these popular destinations. At the heart of the matter are concerns over housing crises and the gradual erosion of local character in these historic cities. As water droplets dried on bewildered tourists, a much larger debate was reignited, one that questions the sustainability of current tourism practices and the economic models that heavily rely on them. It seems the tide of public opinion in southern Europe might be turning, with locals demanding a reconsideration of how the cities balance tourism's economic benefits with preserving the quality of life for permanent residents. In technology news, we've seen some exciting developments and challenges this week. Let's start with the space sector, where SpaceX faced a setback on June 18th. The Starship, crucial for Elon Musk's Mars colonization plans, exploded during an engine test in Texas. This incident may impact SpaceX's development timeline for future Mars missions. On a more positive note, Honda is making waves in the private space industry. On June 17th, they successfully tested a prototype reusable rocket in Japan, reaching an altitude of 271 meters before landing. The company aims to achieve suborbital spaceflight capability by 2029, potentially reshaping the landscape of private space exploration. Shifting gears to artificial intelligence, a recent study has identified the 4S advantages of AI over humans in job context: speed, scale, scope, and sophistication. This research could be key to predicting which jobs are at risk of displacement and how workers can adapt to an AI-infused workforce. However, it's worth noting that despite these advantages, AI still has limitations and isn't always more effective, accurate, fair, or reliable than humans. Speaking of AI's impact on jobs, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy made headlines on June 22nd by addressing AI's influence on white-collar jobs. While the exact details of his comments aren't available, this acknowledgement from a major tech industry leader highlights the growing influence of AI across various sectors and its potential to transform traditional job roles. In the realm of cybersecurity, a survey by CSC revealed that 98% of chief information security officers expect a surge in cyber attacks over the next 3 years. Of particular concern are AI-powered threats, with 87% of respondents citing AI-powered domain-generated algorithms as a direct threat. This underscores the need for improved cybersecurity measures against evolving AI-driven threats. Lastly, in a move to enhance cloud security for AI-driven enterprises, 1Password and Amazon Web Services AWS announced a strategic collaboration on June 16th. This partnership aims to address the access trust gap and accelerate secure cloud adoption in complex hybrid and AI-driven environment. As we can see, it's been a week of both challenges and innovations in the tech world, with AI and space exploration taking center stage. Stay tuned for more updates as these stories continue to develop. As we conclude today's podcast, it's clear that the world is facing a complex web of challenges, from geopolitical tensions to economic uncertainties and technological disruptions. The coming days and weeks will be crucial in determining the course of the Israel-Iran conflict and its potential global ramifications. Thank you for tuning into AI News Brew. We extend a special thanks to those who support our independent research and publications. Your continued engagement helps us bring you objective, comprehensive news analysis. Stay informed, stay engaged, and remember to follow AI News Brew for the latest updates on global affairs. Until next time, this is AI News Brew, signing off.